Okay, ready.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another session of QuickBooks Online. And I say another one because the mentor today, Steve Chase, has been with us. I think it's about maybe 2 or 3 years now, doing sessions on QuickBooks Online to help you get started with that. So creating reports, and he has extensive knowledge about just utilizing those tools. So thank you, Steve, for doing this now online with us. For those watching on Facebook or for those in the Zoom meeting, just make sure to drop in your questions, comment them on Facebook, and we'll filter them to the session. And at the end, we'll make sure to make some time. That way you can ask questions as well. So Steve, are you, let me see. Were you able to share your screen?
I can do that right now. Yes, I can. Yeah.
Thank you, Steve, for being here again. And thank you, everyone.
My pleasure. Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, well, welcome everybody. My name is Steve Chase. I'm the founder of Sequentia Solutions. And today we're going to be talking about QuickBooks Online. So I wanted to start off kind of with a question for the audience here, and maybe just a rhetorical question too, if you're watching it on the live stream and don't have access to type in the questions. But the first thing I always ask is, what pain points and frustrations do you have when it comes to bookkeeping? And that's a loaded question, I know. And so today, I'm hoping, my goal is to share with you some of the useful features of using a bookkeeping application like QuickBooks Online to help you stay organized and so forth. So I like this quote here: everybody has a plan until he gets punched in the mouth. And I'm really talking to small business owners that have an idea, make it come to fruition and hit the marketplace, and then suddenly out of nowhere things could change and so forth. And I find that the best determination of success really starting a business is just grit, determination, knowing that you have something that's valuable and keeping at it. And of course, making changes to your plans is also part of the course. We have, can you trust your financials? That's a question that I could ask 100 people that are trying to do their own bookkeeping and such. Can you trust it? And I'll get lots of laughs and such, and well, kinda, but really what it comes down to is, yes, you can. I'm here to share with you, yes, you can have accurate bookkeeping and you can have organized records, but it's all about setting up a system and following a playbook and having directions on how to manage and so forth. So let's talk about what the actual system looks like. You're going to have records that you're going to put into QuickBooks, money in, money out. It's fourth grade math. For most of accounting is fourth grade math and higher. Adding and subtracting. Occasionally we'll divide, but everyone can do this if you can add and subtract and you're good at following a system and so forth. At the end of the month, you get a bank statement, and you're able to reconcile that so that QuickBooks or whatever bookkeeping software you have matches the bank statements. And that's really what's going to separate one skill set that will separate you from making sure that you have good books is the reconciliation process. And so I'll share with you today how that works so that you can feel confident that your reports are accurate. Okay, so the two reports we're focusing on this morning is the profit and loss report and the balance sheet. We have a gentleman, Lucas Pacioli, who gets credit for managing the foundations of the balance sheet report, and really is the father of accounting. Here he is with Leonardo da Vinci, and he is he's giving us. Oh, are you guys seeing my screen? Oh my gosh, I want to make sure.
I was just wanting to make sure we see like a small Excel and then like your
Oh
calendar.
Goodness gracious, I shared this. Hold on.
You must have two screens, right?
I have three. I'm so sorry, guys. Yes, we were supposed to be looking at, now how about, do you see it now?
No, it's the same one.
Um,
The one with like a.
yeah, okay, with the calendar in it. I was sharing the wrong, okay. Now we're on, all right. Sorry, guys.
Yes. Now we're seeing Lucas.
Okay. Okay. Well, I hope what you were seeing before, I guess, was okay. I have 3 monitors. I'm so sorry. Okay, should have asked that earlier. All right. So basically, we can just continue on. Okay, with the demo here. I'd like to begin with what is QuickBooks Online and some of its useful features here. Okay, so. All right, so one of the things that makes QuickBooks Online popular is there's 7 million users using it, and it's easily accessible to multiple platforms. It can be used on a PC or a Mac. You do need internet connection to work with QuickBooks Online. Another great advantage of QuickBooks Online is you downloads bank transactions every night. Will automatically come in for your review. So that's going to save a lot of time for that. We can connect to third-party apps, which is really useful because think of QuickBooks as like a hub, and then there's an ecosystem of other apps. Depending on your industry, you have an opportunity to manage connections to other useful software tools that will be suitable to connect with your data sets in QuickBooks Online, such as payroll, for example. You might have a payroll provider outside of QuickBooks Online, but this particular app will push payroll reports into QuickBooks, so it makes it easier for you to have accurate reporting when it comes to payroll. All the data is being hosted on QuickBooks servers with security. So it has the ability to manage that your data you don't have to be responsible for hosting the data on your end. And so therefore, catastrophic failures of hard drive crashes and such, you can feel confident that your data is available for you to get and so forth. And I'll just jump down to this one right here. Reports can be emailed to anyone at any frequency. So that's very valuable. Even if somebody doesn't have a subscription, an active account in QuickBooks Online, you can manage it so that reports can go outside through emailing to others. So those are some of the benefits of QuickBooks Online. Okay. So what I'd like to do now is have you guys follow me in this demo here. And I'm going to try to be building profit and loss and balance sheet reports for our duration here, okay? The first thing I'm gonna do is go to apps.com, so apps.com, and that will take us to the QuickBooks App Store. All right. If you think of Stephen Covey, he said, begin with the end in mind. And often when I'm helping somebody set up a new account in QuickBooks, it's not just, okay, QuickBooks is the only tool that we're going to work with. We're also going to explore when it makes sense to connect to other apps that connect to QuickBooks Online. So I want to make sure everybody understands this here, because this is where you have the ability to make these connections, and it will really help you do the work much more effectively and efficiently. So on the left-hand side, we've got popular apps, T-Sheets, Expensify, a variety of these. I'm going to select Run Payroll and show you some of the popular payroll apps. One of my favorites is Gusto. Another app that I really love is called Rewind, and they're out of Canada, but they help make backups so that if you made a boo-boo inside your QuickBooks Online, like somebody deleted an invoice 3 weeks ago, you could actually go into Rewind and restore it back and just have that come back to life inside your QBO with a press of a button. It is important to know that every app can either be free or it can have a price. So there are prices involved when it comes to connecting out to other apps. Some are free, some cost. So fun. The main point here is do your homework. Don't just sign up for an app just because it feels good, and do your homework. Check the reviews out. If at all possible, connect it to a trial account. You can create a 30-day free trial to QuickBooks Online, where then you can connect the apps that you're experimenting with to manage, to see if it's a good fit for you. Yeah. All right. Okay. As far as starting a QuickBooks free account, let me show you how to do that. There is a 30-day trial that I'm going to create right now on the fly. Okay. And you can go into the 30-day trial. There are 4 different versions of QuickBooks: Simple Start Plus, Advanced. There's another one called Essentials, and each one costs a monthly fee, as you see here. Basically, you pay for what you get. The higher price tier range, you're going to get more reporting and more opportunities to do more, to do more information here. There is a QuickBooks Self-Employed, but that is really not the same as QuickBooks Online at all. It doesn't give you balance sheets. It's really meant for a gig worker that might be like that doesn't need to issue invoicing and so forth. They're going to be like kind of gig workers here. So not at all QuickBooks Online, just a different product. Okay, not even the same software. So okay. Okay, 30-day trial. Okay, so I'm going to create my 30-day free trial. All right. All right, when you create your first time, you'll put in your business information here. Okay, so your legal, and if you have your EIN number, you'll want to use the records on file for your business here, and then just start typing what industry you're in. For those that have possibly been working inside QuickBooks Desktop, if you wanted to bring your data from desktop, you would check this box, and then it would present you with an opportunity to open that file up, and it would start importing that data set here. But if you're starting a fresh new account, all you got to do is just hit the next button here after you name your business name here. And then it's going to ask you how you're using QuickBooks. So if you click on a few of these and later realize that you want to add on any of these, that is totally fine. It really comes down to which version you have. So for example, if you wanted to manage inventory, you could click it. However, inventory tracking has to be the plus version or advanced. Yeah. All right, and then it's going to ask us a few items here, such as what is our position or role, and then do you have a bookkeeper account right now? This is kind of a marketing thing. You'll see that QuickBooks Live is going to populate, and possibly you could add on services and have a QuickBooks bookkeeper as well. So And then it's going to ask us here, do we want to connect our bank accounts? I would kind of wait on that. It is tempting to link the accounts right off the bat here, but you can certainly start with this and then always do it later. You know, it's interesting that that's the first thing they want you to do, and often you're not yet ready to do that. You know, yeah, it's going to require some setup and so forth here. All right, so now we actually have an account, and going forward, you could access the login. It's basically qbo.intuit.com. This is our website that is the main website from this point forward that you would log in using your credentials to sign in. Yes, there is a mobile app, and you just look up the QuickBooks store, but the functionality on the mobile is not as robust as it is in the browser version. You can use Chrome, you can use Edge, you can use Safari, you can use a wide variety of web pages, browsers to connect to the data set. And again, you just have to have internet. Have to have internet to do that. All right, so as far as a profit and loss report goes, jumping back here. Yeah, so a profit and loss report goes, this is a profit and loss example. Okay, it is going to show us our income and then our different cost and different expenses, and then we're going to have our net income at the bottom. And all of these items right here, the income that you see here, they're gonna come through the chart of accounts, no doubt. So let's explore the chart of accounts, because that's going to be the first thing that you're going to want to do setting up a QuickBooks account. So you can find it through the accounting chart of accounts, and then see your chart of accounts. All right. There are 5 major types of accounts. Income and expenses is 2 of them. And if we scroll down, we'll see expenses and such. But if I want to create, if I want the ability to have a report that has different examples of how the income would be, that's up to me. I could have everything go under one bucket called sales or services, or I might want to differentiate. So for example, if I run a business that offers tutoring and I want to keep track of my tutoring income versus maybe consulting, maybe they're different things. Maybe I do software design and I also tutor. So this is where I would come into QuickBooks and create those 2 new income accounts by clicking on the new icon here. Tell it it's an income account, and then give it a name like tutoring. Simple as that. Probably don't want to go overboard, right? Sometimes less is more. Having a nice, clean, simple list of accounts is helpful, but it does pay to kind of think and visualize at the end of the year, how do I want to show in my profit and loss report which sources of income do I have? And then on the long side, that when I create an invoice in QuickBooks, I also need to have products and services. So I can get to those by clicking on invoicing products and services. And I could set up a tutoring service. Something like this, tutoring. Now up here, this is what if I do create invoices inside of QuickBooks, this is where I would have what an invoice would have. So not every business out there actually has to issue invoices. Sometimes it comes in a different source where you're not creating them. All right, so here's tutoring. I can have any notes I want on the descriptions field here, but for just keep it brief, I'll just call it tutoring. and I'll link it to my tutoring income. So that way, anytime I have a sale for tutoring on an invoice, customer pays, then it's going to flow down into the income account called tutoring. All right. So at this particular point, we would hit save and close. And we have, it gives you some generic ones, but now this is the one that I just managed here. Okay. I see a question here. I'm going to take questions alongside if I can get to them. And so we have a question. As a new business owner, what are the advantages of having QuickBooks? One is as your business starts to prosper and you have profitability, you'll have organization is one of the key factors of having everything tidy and organized in one spot. And it's also incredible that you can compare your first year of income and expenses to the year 2 to year 3. But really, it's just organization. And April 15th happens every year, even though we might not like it. Having a plan to show your business income is priceless, and it keeps your sanity knowing that you can log in and run a report that shows that through the years. Yeah. So those are the two biggest ones I can think of here. Organization and paying taxes or filing your taxes. It is a perfect software to show you where all your money came in from and where it went. Yeah. Yeah. While we're at that level, a big mistake people make is when they connect to their bank account, and you would do that under transactions bank account. There's over 16,000 banks that you can connect to QuickBooks. But a big mistake I see people right off the bat is they mix their personal with business. So I would highly advise maybe waiting to set up your QuickBooks account until you get your business checking account. That will make things a lot better, not just for peace of mind knowing that your business records are accurate, but then just the ability to, if you ever sell the business, if you have a clean set of books that are just the business. Occasionally a business owner might use the wrong card, and that's accident's going to happen, and we can treat that as a personal expense so it doesn't show up on the profit and loss as like owner's draw or a distribution equity. But one advice, definitely make sure you have a business checking account that you can connect your QuickBooks. You do not want to have personal credit cards connected where 90% is personal and 10%. That's not a good recipe for organization here. We'll come back to this in a second here. Excellent. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is set up some expenses. So I'm going to go to accounting chart of accounts, and let's say that in my business I use I have a lot of software. So I can come over here and type software. It's kind of an office supply expense, but just giving you an idea of if you wanted to track different types of expenses, you would come to the chart of accounts to do that and save and close here. Okay. So earlier I mentioned that there are 5 types of accounts. Income and expenses is the big one, and that's going to produce our profit and loss. What about the other 3? All right, what about the other 3? So the other 3 are what would show up on the balance sheet. And so the balance sheet is going to have our assets, which includes your bank account, accounts receivable. That would be like, that would be, you have an invoice customer, but they haven't paid. That is a receivable that falls under the assets balance sheet. You might have property, buildings. If a larger business might have some other fixed assets. So your assets help lead to your net worth, right? Okay. And then on the other side of the balance sheet, you have liabilities, and that would include accounts payable, bills that you owe, taxes that you owe, debts that you might have incurred, if you have credit card debt, if you have a loan, these are all liabilities. And then the difference between your assets and your liability, there's a famous equation: assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. So the rest of that is basically what portion does the business owner have on it. So if you started a bank, like if you went downtown and Frost Bank and said, okay, I'm in business, here's my EIN number, I've got $5,000 that I am putting in to start my balance, to start my checking account, that would be basically what would happen is you'd see $5,000 in your cash account, and then down here you'd have 5,000 in your equity. So they would be in balance. Your first transaction, 5,000, is owner's equity. Right? If you pull out $1,000, then you'll see 1,000 less cash. You'd be at 4,000 up here, and then down here 4,000. So it's kind of a balance sheet here. So let's talk about how do you set up your assets, your liabilities, and your equity in the chart of accounts in QuickBooks. Okay, so it's the new icon here. I'm going to say that I have a Frost account, and you would want to put in your last 4 digits as a good model to managing your bank accounts. So it is a checking account. This is an asset. Frost. Okay. And then save in new. Let's say that the business has a loan. So the difference between other current liabilities is you plan on paying it off less than a year, and long-term is more than a year. So other current liabilities, just a loan payable. Let's say your grandfather gave you $8,000. You just call it grandfather loan, you know, and then save and close. So the first transaction, guys, that I'm going to do with us here is we're going to have an $8,000 transaction that will go into our Frost bank account, and it's going to be to our grandfather. Okay, so I'm going to click plus new bank deposit. I'm going to backdate this to January 1st. Okay. I'm going to just set up a quick vendor, call it grandfather, no details yet. And then the account is a liability. And interest-free loan, 8,000. Ta-da. And if I had any kind of a note or something like that, I could put the attachment here. I can have multiple attachments. Each attachment can be as long as it's less than 20 megabytes, I can attach that. Now, I just say where it's going. We're putting it into the Frost bank account, save and close. All right, let's see how that affects our very first transaction. So if I go to reports and run the balance sheet report, here we go, guys. We have 8,000 in our bank account, and then we have 8,000 as a loan. So we are in balance because our assets equals our liabilities plus owner's equity. Okay. If I run my profit and loss report and I'm trying to show how much income we made this year, 0. We've made $0 this year, right? Because there's just been nothing on the records for a customer. There's been no customer sales here. Yep. All right, so perfect. Next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to create an invoice, okay? Just a simple, humble invoice. I've got no customers yet, so let me go ahead and enter my first customer. If I go to invoicing customers, I'll either want to type them in one by one, or I can import them. So I'm going to do both. I'm going to first add them manually. Okay. And so, all right, let's go with it. Let's go with maybe Lisa, Madison. And since I would like for her to pay for the invoice or pay online, I need her email address. So I'm going to use my own just so I can show you. Because I like to show you how it tracks and shows a timestamp if she receives it, right? Okay, great. This is the information we enter. It's like a little database, and I can come back here and update records down the road if I wanted to. Notice I've got address. I could have notes. Agreed to, let's say, 2 months of tutoring, $3,000. Tax info would be if she's exempt, paying and billing. Language, I could have my invoices converted to Spanish if I wanted to. Here's my attachments. If I had a contract, I could attach the contract here with her and any additional info. I can segment the data there, but that's pretty much it as far as customers go. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create my first invoice. Okay, so at the top, this section at the top is called our source. This gray area is the source, and down below is called targets. The source comes once, like you get one chance to put one customer name. You get one chance for terms, like this is when it's due. If it's due today, I would do due on receipt. I need it for today. So today, October 14th. And if I would like her to pay with a credit card, I would check that box right there. That does involve that I submit an application for QuickBooks payments. So to do that, you have to have a credit check. They'll check your credit. You provide your EIN number, and you provide your social security number, and they do a credit check. And then if you get approved, you can start collecting deposits that day. There is a fee for credit cards. It's depending if you swipe it or if they pay online, but it's generally around 3% for a credit card fee. And then if you wanted them to pay with their bank account, like they type in their account and routing number in the check account, then that's free. There are no fees for that. So Lisa could pay us online if she wanted to use her, type in her account and routing number, just like an electronic check. That'd be free. So again, you have to set that up. You have to apply for it. It literally can be approved instantly if everything's good on your industry. They'll ask you what your industry is, and they'll ask you how much do you expect to collect per month. And there's two models. If you're going to be charging more than $7,500 a month, then you can go into a lower tier of credit card fees, reduces, and you pay a monthly fee of like $20. But the idea is you'll save money in the long run. So basically, if you're less than $7,500 a month, it's not worth it to pay the monthly. It's worth it just to pay the fee as a one-time transaction. You only pay a fee, QuickBooks, for each card that you charge. Basically, that's how it works. Yep. So tutoring. Okay. We'll just say Excel tutoring on Power Query. That's been my favorite thing so far, is learning Power Query. If anyone loves Power Query, I'd love to talk to you about that because it's been really fun. And there we go. Somehow we came to $600. Good enough for me. And then what I want to show you is save and send. A lot of people are a little anxious when they hit save and send because they think it's going to go out immediately, but no, you have one last chance. to review it before you actually, this is the final send button right here. So it will always populate. If we were connected to QuickBooks Online, it was going to have down at the bottom, it's going to on the footer will be when you apply for your payments account, you have to provide an address. So that's what's going to appear down here on all footers is your business address. So many of you work from your home, and that's what would show up down here because you've got to use an address to apply for the QuickBooks payments account, and that's going to show up down here after you set it up here. You can customize logos and all that, and so this is just a preview of it. Okay, they'll get an attachment where they can see a nice invoice, and they'll also have a button that says pay online. Yeah, so anyways, here we go, send and close. Awesome. All right, and now what I would like to do on my other screen is I'd like to show how it looks when I receive it. So just allow me to go to my other monitor and find that email that I sent to myself here. Here it is. Okay, and so then I would have pay invoice here. Yeah. So we're missing the pay online because I obviously don't have the credentials set up here. But then there's my invoice. Kind of boring, right? I definitely want to put the logo, and I can get it a lot more jazzier than that. But hey, it's quick and easy. And again, I just had a QuickBooks account that was set up 20 minutes ago. So not too bad. In 20 minutes, I've got an invoice out there just ready to go for this basic one here. And then it's so like wanting us to do it right now. I would put in my data set, activate payments, and that's really all it takes to get paid online. So, I mean, you guys could literally go create a QuickBooks Online account today, send an invoice today, and get paid today, all in just a few moments here. Yeah. As far as designing your logos, everybody likes to do that. So you go to the gear icon. This gear icon is basically like the logic of your QuickBooks account in the upper right-hand corner. This is where you go when you want to change a setting. You click on the gear icon where we could go into accounts and settings or custom form styles. And it's here that we would have the ability to edit how we would like that logo to look and the template to look. Yeah, so just kind of like that, be able to manage it like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. Okay, so let us know if you have got any questions here, and you can go in and get it activated and all that, choose our fonts. Yep, then there's our content, what you'd like to show on it. So yeah, you could have fun with that. And then how would you like to have the greetings to be? First, last name, and here's our default settings, all that. So it's all said and done. Save it. Great. Okay. So I called Lisa and I'm like, hey, Lisa, did you get my invoice? Yeah, got it. No problem. Pay online. Great. Wonderful. What I can do, though, is if I don't think she got it, I can go back to my invoice. And there's lots of ways to find it, but I can get it this way. But I want to show you that it shows me that I emailed it to this email, and you can CC, BCC people on as well. And it went out at 10:37 a.m. But look down here. Look at. That's why I wanted to go to my third monitor and open it up from my end to show you that it does show when the recipient, when your customers open up when they open up the credit card, when they open up the invoice, it shows that. So if you've got no activity, then you know it may have hit spam. They never got it. They never engaged on it. So that's where you might check first to see if they got it. Yeah, pretty cool. And this is going to be a tracking. So it will then eventually say paid. When she puts in her credit card to pay it, paid online. And then I get an email saying money's on its way. And I get the alert that they paid right away. So I love that. Get an email notification when I get paid. All right, we got another question here, Teresa. Could I link my credit card processor? Yes, no, the answer is no. QuickBooks Payments is its own credit card processors. However, if you have another third-party credit card processor, you can have two. It's just that you'll have to tell QuickBooks the fees. What I like about the QuickBooks credit card processor is that it separates the fees from the invoice. So basically, in my Frost bank account, the next day I would see $600 deposit, and then I would have a 3% fee taken out. That's a separate row. Other credit card processors might not work that way. They might just group it all together as one. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. And then you had another question, PayPal business account. Absolutely. You definitely connect your PayPal. I strongly recommend that you do that. And it's very possible that you can connect PayPal. There are two types of PayPal connections. There's connect to PayPal, and then there's regular PayPal. There's advantages and disadvantages to each one. It really depends on your business, on which one is the better one to apply for. But they both will work. So that answers your question, yeah. And it is smart that you have a business PayPal account, because a business PayPal account is going to get you the monthly statements to manage. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. I was going to show you how to import customers. So I can go to the gear icon, import data, and click customers. I need an Excel file to do that. This is kind of what it's supposed to look like. Open up on my other screen here. They'll give you a sample file. It's what you would kind of expect. Just get a list of data that you can bring in. These are the acceptable fields to bring in. I've got one, so I'm going to browse. I'm going to bring in this customer list here. I can show it to you. I think, I guess not. All right, next. Okay, so here's what it looks like. I'm going to actually point it out here just so we have an idea of what we're doing here. You know, it's just basic stuff here. This is what we're going to import. The key is identify your headers. Your headers are what's going to be what can be brought in. Okay, so each one has a drop down. Here's the QuickBooks Online field. Here's our field. If you've got a bunch of customers at email addresses, that's probably the important thing. Get their emails imported in here. Yeah. Okay, and then next, you can do 500 customers at a time is the limit. So if you have a lot of customers, you'd have to break up your spreadsheet into groups of 500 or less rows. And then these are the ones. If you decide you didn't want to bring one in, you just uncheck it, and then it won't import it. And that's import. You'll find that there's also data validation that will also populate if the street addresses and zip codes are not correct. It will give you a warning here. All right, next step is we want to connect to the bank feeds. I got to show you how we would do that. So when we go to transactions banking, connect account, at this particular point in time, you would type the bank account, right? So you provide your online credentials. you enter it helps if you remember your security code challenge and so forth. Yep. And then basically what you do is you connect like that. And then you get to tell it what is your time frame that you want to start importing. So every bank has its own limits on how far back you can go. So it's ideal that if you connect it to the current year, because that's the tax, but you might need to go back in time as well. So you can grab as much as you want, basically, if your bank will participate, and then just do that connection there. So that's why it's important that you map the 4 digits to your chart of accounts. That's why it's important here. So, all right, so I'll just do this year and connect. And this is what it looks like when you're connecting your real bank account to a QuickBooks Online account. 16,000 banks participate. Some are better than others. You know, sometimes the connections break and you have to redo it. But you do that. There we go. Okay. We categorize this one. So, okay, great. I don't want to do that right now. Okay. All right. Awesome. So what's happening here is I'm going to also, well, yeah, what's coming down the line is you'd find one, like, for example, here we have a $787.50 mobile deposit. Okay. If I added it if that was a tutoring check, the problem with doing it like this and hitting confirm is that I'd have no data to support that. It's better to create the invoice receive payment on this than, so I'll use that as an example here. So I'm going to go to the plus new sign and create an invoice for that amount. Okay. Tutoring, okay. And I'll go back in time to September 1st and I'll do net 30. Okay, save. All right. So it would be good to show you guys, it would be great to show you this first, the profit and loss. Okay, so reports, profit and loss for this year, okay. That's what we've got on record here, okay. And I can drill down and see the two invoices right now. So I'm going to actually receive payment on that $787.50 right now. I would need to open it up and I would need to look for the receive payment. And so I'm doing a mobile deposit, so I can say it's a check and I can put in the reference point and then the date. And I can't remember the date that it hit, but you'd want to pick the right date that you deposited to the Frost account, like that, and then save and close. Okay, great. And then when I go back to transactions banking, my job is to confirm and match that up here. So as I go down, oh, look at this right here. Oh, no, that's not it. Right here. So this row right here, we see from Frost Bank that we have a mobile deposit, right? And my books have show that Douglas Charles right here has a payment. That's the number of his check. I can open that up to validate. Yep, it's a September 22nd payment and it came in like that. So that's what I'm matching. So I'm going to confirm that match right there. Awesome. And so that's how you do that, right? Okay. Now, sometimes it might match something incorrectly. For example, this would not be the right confirmation because the money came in on 10/1, $600, but the invoice was invoiced after that. So we have to really do our math here. Think, is this $600 here applied to that? And no, it's not. So I don't confirm that because that would, if I did that, that would pay Lisa's bill. She hasn't paid yet. And by the way, when she does pay, QuickBooks automatically will help me confirm the correct one. So that's not really going to be an issue. But I do want you guys to understand this concept here. And I know our time's running close to timing out. Is what's the difference between cash and accrual, profit and loss? Okay. Before I get to that, I'm going to create a quick expense here. For Pantheon rent. We're just going to do a quick rent and lease 250. Okay. And I'll date it September 1. Save and close. All right. So there's now 3 transactions on my profit and loss, 2 invoices, and 1 expense. Let's go look at reports. Profit and loss. When I run the profit and loss, I can either do accrual or cash. And what is the difference? Okay. Accrual is going to take all of your invoicing that's been booked, but maybe has not been received during this time frame. So this is our start date, and this is our end date this year. Whereas cash is going to be only what has been paid. And so watch what happens when I click on cash and hit run report. That $600, guys, drops off. Lisa's invoice is nowhere to be seen. All right, nowhere, because she hasn't paid. She hasn't paid. So where does that $600 go then? If it's not here, where did it go? Can somebody tell me that? And I know I'll look at the chat room if you're in the Zoom session. Some of you might be on Facebook too, but who's got an idea where that $600 went? No worries, no worries. Let's discover that. Let's take a look at the balance sheet. Reports, balance sheet. There we go. Aha, I found it. It's kind of like Where's Waldo? We have $600 that's called accounts receivable. That's a classic account in accounting. Thanks to this guy right here who helped years ago set this up. You know, he helped set up the debits and the credits and all that. So accounts receivable is an asset. We are owed that money. All right, and that's basically what we've got here. So I'm going to receive payment from that. Hit the plus sign, receive payment. Again, if Lisa paid automatically, we don't have to do this. It will automatically close it out once she pays online. But I'm just going to manually do that and just pretend it's a check and deposit here. Yep. And so if you had a PayPal account and she paid with PayPal, you just want to make sure that it went into the PayPal account here. You would tell it where it's going, right? Sometimes you use undeposited funds, but that's another story. Here we're going to receive payment. So now the $600 is closed. Okay. Now the money went to account. My bank account went up. And as I refresh, yep. And we're good here. Okay. So Daniela, I want to save some time for some Q&A now. So this is probably a good stopping point for me right here. Okay. Or how do we? Teresa, if we've got, I'm not sure if anyone's monitoring how we're gonna wrap it up here. If we've got any questions on the Facebook live stream, I'd be more than happy to answer. If anybody's in the chat room in Zoom, if you have any questions, let me know. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't see any questions, but
Okay.
can you share with us your contact information? To
Oh,
see if
sure.
anybody...
Yeah, so it's just sequentiasolutions.com. And then you can find everything there under contact right here. Yep. Also, I do have lots of YouTube videos. If you go to my blog, you will see lots and lots of hopefully helpful videos that will help you learn more about QuickBooks and Excel and all these software programs I enjoy teaching. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Steve. Yeah, thank you. And we'll do this session again.
Yeah, next
I think
month.
it's this year. Yeah, next month. So if anybody wants to revisit some of it or wants to play around with QuickBooks and come back, I think it would be good to revisit with Steve.
Great. Enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Steve, again.
You're welcome.